All right, bam. We're live. Hey there. Welcome, ski host. We're just getting started. All right. So here we are. It's day 100 of the AI Prompt Challenge. And for those of you that have been here, congratulations. You're not a rookie anymore. Nope. You have been on the journey. You've gotten to go through the entire wheel. You have 6 main areas to running a successful remodeling business. You have your sales and strategy. Hey, Jane. You have your process. That's all the project management, job execution. You have the people. That's attracting your team and training and retaining them. Hey there, Jay Allen, welcome. Just reviewing this. So today's the day 100, right? And basically what has happened over the last 100, I've taken those 6 components: sales, the process, people, what it's like for the client, your marketing, advertising, and then you as the leader, the vision of the company. And we've broken those out, and right, and spent about, I don't know, like 15, 18 days in each segment of that wheel. All right. So today's really just a wrap up. Welcome. If you've had any questions, today's a good day to ask them, and we'll go over. So the concept is you're not a rookie anymore. If you've been here and you've been listening to the lives, hopefully, you've walked away with, for me, I've got started over 20 years ago in the industry, right? So you're learning 20 years of knowledge or experiences in growing remodeling business and working with others in the remodeling business. So that has been the concept. All right. So some of you, like Jayon, you've been here frequently, which has been awesome. Thank you. I think you get a pretty good sense at this point where I come from, what I talk about. Hopefully you've been able to implement something or walk away with something useful that at least makes you think about the way you're going about your business. The reality is that sometimes, exactly. So over these 20 years, I've seen contractors come and go. Everybody gets into the business with the same thought: I'm going to make money. It's going to be awesome. And the reality is that is not the truth for the majority of people. Half the businesses fail within the first few years. 70% fail around year 7, 8. 90% don't make it past 10 years. So barely 4% excel. Another 6% will survive. A lot of guys survive because there's another person in the family, often with another career. So they're just really full-time working. They're self-employed, but they're not business owners. Yeah, they say they have a business, but the business can't sustain itself. The business can't run when the owner takes off and goes away for vacation for a week or two, or if the owner gets sick. So it's not a business in that sense, right? A business is something that somebody is opening the doors, down the doors, right? Think of like a Subway franchise. You got kids making the sandwiches, selling the sandwiches, baking the bread. You don't have to be there all the time. And that's just not the reality for most people in this industry. Barely 4% probably ever get to that level. So, this roadmap is what you would utilize to be in that top 10%, at least profitable, and hopefully to a point where it's a real business, something that you can take a vacation from. You can have a couple people working in case you get sick and need some time off. So that's the concept. Most guys just have no plan, no systems, no clarity. But if you've been here now over the course of this, essentially 3 months, you see all the components that you can put together to make your business last. It's a roadmap. It should hopefully change your approach, and it should help give you that shift, right? The goal of this challenge wasn't just more information, right? None of us, there's plenty of free information out here. You can tune into any TikTok account, any YouTube channel. There's always somebody talking about something. The goal was transformation. It's to really help somebody move from A to B. Thank you. Yeah, Jan. Yeah, an example of integrity. I can only share it, understand that, like, I can give you the roadmap for the things that I've done and the things that I've helped other people do. That's what I put into this plan. So I know it's worked for at least one person. Usually it's worked for 5, 10, 15, 20 different people easily. But, you know, um, I know that the reason why it doesn't work for most people is because they don't work it. They don't put the plan into place. Eh, what I like to say to people is success, it's available to anybody, but it's not for everybody in a sense, because I already know that most people just won't wake up and do the little things that they have to do. Be the guy that generates the revenue for the guy that's taking. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm following your comment, Flatfish. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're being sarcastic or if you're being serious. I don't know if have you been here before? So really what this is about is it's sharing strategy. So and again, I share this because when I first got into the business, it was tough. I thought it was going to be easy, and it was anything but easy. And I had to seek out, I knew that I was capable of success, but I was frustrated that I was hitting a lot of roadblocks because there were so many things that I didn't know that was going to happen to me. So I went and found somebody who was older, who had done what I wanted to do. I didn't grow up in the business. My family didn't run a remodeling construction business. I was the first person. It was my mentality for the longest. Been there. Yeah, Jan, I think that's a good approach. Been there, done that. Yeah. Your mentality is 100% correct. Yep. So, for the what is it? Flatfish. I'm still trying to, I don't quite understand where you're coming from, but I'll let you, I'll play with it for a minute. I can only share this to you is I knew that the people that I saw running remodeling businesses weren't much more talented than I was. They just had a different set of experiences that let them get to different levels of success. They just knew something that I didn't know. And the faster that I could learn all the things that they knew, the faster that I could compete with them. And within the first few years, some of my biggest competitors ended up going out of business, and I was able to hire their crews and take their customers. And that was what was a big shift and turning point. So where I'm going with this is most guys aren't failing because they don't know how to, operate a hammer. They're failing because they don't know how to operate the business, and they're spending too much time running into roadblocks that they could easily maneuver around if they just had someone guiding them, if they were open to that process. So anyway, that's what happened for me. It helped me shift and go a lot faster. So I made a commitment that I would, I enjoy that process. And I said I will share that with other people because it's a lot of fun to watch people win. It's not much fun to watch people struggle and lose. So, and yes, relationships, 100%. Like you should, like your first client 20 years ago should still know who you are today, just as much as the client you just sold last week. So, yes. So, again, basically the last 100 days we've gone through all of this. Right? We've touched on vision and leadership. So, you as the owner have to have some sort of a plan to where you want to go. And for everybody it looks different. Some guys just want to earn a little more profit. Some guys want to get a bigger team. Some guys just want to wake up in the morning and not feel like they're going to die from all the stress and anxiety because they don't know how they're going to pay the next bill. I mean, everybody's at a different place on the journey. So usually the owner of the company has to have their head on straight, has to be clear, because if they're afraid, if they're confused, then the business is going to show that. But once you get dialed in as an owner and you figured out this is where I'm going, these are my goals, then I don't know about you, but I write my goals down. I keep a board over here. And I write the goals down and I like to cross them off as I achieve them. And I always put what I call stretch goals, right? Something that I probably in my mind don't think that I can get to. Obviously, then I have a couple that are going to be challenging. And then there's always a few that I'm like, that's not going to be an issue at all. We're going to get there. And then that way, as you accomplish the little goals, it builds momentum. You accomplish the harder goals. And then ultimately, you're striving for that reach goal, the one that's really going to push you. And some years are better than others, right? Some months you do really well. At least that's how it's been for me. But over time, when I put them down on paper, I achieve them. If I don't put them down, if they stay up here, I don't seem to ever get there with them. That's just, again, been my experience. So over the last 100 days, I've shared a bunch of systems with you guys that I've come up with to help me in my business and help the guys that work for me and then help the people that we've worked with. The Spark method for getting paid. I feel that one of the biggest downfalls to people in this industry is guys run around and give free estimates. I think it's insane. When I was a kid, people in the remodeling business didn't do that. They got paid. But somewhere in the late 80s, that started changing. With the advent of the yellow pages, contractors just started, they gave free estimates because they got scared because new people came into the business and they were giving free estimates. But what I've noticed over time was the better designed build, the higher end companies, they always had a consultation fee. One of my big competitors, I learned from them, they charged what was called a feasibility process. They said, let's just see if what you want, Mr. and Miss Homeowner, is feasible. And they would charge a fee to come out and do an evaluation. And when I learned that they were doing that, I was like, that's what I want to do. I'm going to stop giving free estimates. So we created our own version of that feasibility design process. And so anyway, I'm a big believer that as a remodeler, you should have a process that you shouldn't be giving out your estimates for free. You can if you want to, but I don't believe in it. And I don't think you have to. I remember my first design that I sold, it was on Valentine's Day, and it was It was many years ago, and it was $2,500 to do a design for a kitchen to a homeowner that was comparing me to 4 other contractors that all bought leads through Angie's List. So, yeah, that's my opinion, Sparky. I mean, back years ago, you would never try to a professional contractor would not try to build anything without a set of plans. Yeah, Angie's List has completely changed. I would not recommend anybody use it today, but years ago, it was a valid way to grow a business for sure. Um, if you sub out a roof and it fails inspection 3 years, why would your it shouldn't fail. Yeah, I would make if it was my company, I don't understand why your roof wouldn't last an inspection for 3 years. Sounds to me like somebody didn't do their job. I mean, are we talking like a shingle roof? Like, I mean, asphalt shingle roofs now, unless you're still putting on a 3 tab, I think 40 it's like 40 some years is the minimum warranty you're gonna probably get now. Yeah. Okay, well, welcome, Sparky. Let me know where you're from. Yeah, it's funny. When I first got started in construction, one of the first jobs that I landed as a licensed contractor was doing structural repairs for homeowners that had hired years ago. They had hired like a cheap contractor, and it all went to crap. Everything fell apart. The house was a mess. And a big part of this addition just got left unfinished for a couple years. It really impacted the family a lot. They finally got some things back together. They got some money going. And this time they were going to do everything professional. So they called me up and said, "Hey, we want to get," and I was like, "Well, the first thing we got to do is get a structural engineer out here." And I was like, "There's a fee for that." So I charged them to bring the structural engineer out. But at that time, I gave them a free estimate. And looking back, it was stupid, but that's how I did it. It took me a couple more months to learn not to do it. Texas, but I hold a seal. So Sparky, you should meet Jay Allen. Jay Allen, you should meet Sparky. You guys are in the same town, well, same state. And Jay Allen, if you ever need an architect or some plans, design. So, but yeah. So anyway, I saw the power of having a good set of plans to work off. I got very fortunate. It was my first job that I sold as a licensed contractor, was doing a lot of structural repairs. And that led to many more projects with that same structural engineer and others doing repair work. Um, so yes, Sparky, there's a whole different level you probably see of contractor out there, those that like to work with designers and plans, and those that like to fly by the seat of their pants. But at the end of the day, I just share with homeowners that if you fail to plan, you're pretty much planning to fail. And it's silly, but it starts with an actual set of building designs, plans, something. Yeah, no, you're correct, Sparky, 100%. What was me and this structural engineer, what ended up working out really well for the two of us is we would often talk, and I would explain to him how I would like to build something, and then he would help me understand how we could do it that way, and build it safely to carry the load. What I'm getting at is, in some designers will have their own way of building, and sometimes it can be complicated for a contractor that might not understand that process. Anyway, I'm not saying yours is or isn't, but what I'm saying is me and the structural engineer, we would work together to come up with a plan that was very easy for me and my team to execute out in the field and accomplish all the goals that we need to: the stability, the structural, the shear force, whatever we're talking, carry the loads, all the proper things. So it worked out really well. Um, so that was a big plus for us. But yeah, so over these last 100 days, I've talked about I'm a big believer that the reason that contractors don't make money is because they spend too much money buying tools like Milwaukee, DeWalt, Makita, and they make zero investment in this tool right here, learning how to communicate, learning how to listen, and negotiate. Yeah. No, I agree with you. Yeah, Sparky. 100%. We're on like, yeah, we're speaking the same language. We'd be in a boat rowing the same way is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, 100%. Um, but what I've seen over the years is I'm shocked. I'll meet contractors all day long. They have 4 years, 10 years, 15 years in the business, and they've done no training for sales, for negotiating. They don't understand human behavior. They've done nothing. They have all the nicest tools. They got a $80,000, King Ranch F350, whatever. And yet, the, where you make the money is when you're negotiating the process and communicating with the homeowner. In my opinion, um, it's the best. This up here is the best tool that you own, and how well you can language and communicate your vision. Because at the end of the day, there's always a negotiation. And most contractors, the homeowner's beating them every day on the negotiating part. And they're walking away and the homeowner's winning because the homeowner talked them down on their price, as opposed to the contractor saying, well, maybe we need to eliminate some things from the scope. So let's see. The other area that we talked about was project execution over the last few days. I'm a big believer that most contractors think they're efficient and they're not. Yeah. Thanks for joining, Sparky. We'll see you. So, most contractors are not as efficient in the field as they would like to believe. So, you can make a lot more money if you can get the kitchen remodel done in 6 weeks as opposed to 3 months. So, that's something we spent some time on going over that. And then we also talked about how to handle the client experience and how you, as the professional remodeler, need to guide your homeowner and let them know that they're going to have some weeks where it's frustrating that their house is still a mess and not finished, but that they can trust that you're going to get it done for them. Right. So the way that you communicate to the homeowner, that's what can eliminate 90% of the tension that contractors and homeowners go through. And then we've talked about team development for a little bit. I mean, there's good employees out there every day, every market. If you're having trouble, it's because you're not providing a proper foundation for them that fosters that, right, and brings them on. You get your shop in order and get organized, and you will find the top organized guys in your marketplace. Because a lot of guys at the end of the day, they don't want to run the business because it's hard. And most guys don't want to deal with the homeowner. They don't want to use this part to communicate. They'd rather use this, right, and build all day long. So that's why there's never going to be a shortage of talented workers, because there's always good guys that tried to run their own business, but because of the mental struggles, they got out of it, and they're just really good employees that you can have join your team. Yeah. No, Jan. Yes, if you find a good one. Yeah. Yeah, and Flatfish, I only learned this about my 4th year in. I started hiring. I found a couple guys that had at first, I didn't wanna hire this one guy because he had run his own remodeling business, and then in the back of my mind, I was like, "He's probably just gonna wanna go start another one." But I went out and I took him out to lunch, and I sat down one day and I said, "Look, I just was transparent with him, and I said, "I wanna understand a couple things," because I said, "You've been working for one of our competitors for a while. We'd love to have you join our team. I think we have a better opportunity for you. But I want to understand, you ran your own business for a while. Why aren't you going to go back?" And when he broke down for me all the reasons why he did never wanted to run his own company again, I was like, this makes perfect sense. And then I started finding more of him in the marketplace. They're all over the place. And they're some of the best employees you'll ever have because they know how hard it is to run their own thing. And sure, there's a part of them that's always frustrated that they couldn't figure it out. And I'm not preventing them. Like, have at it. Like, all you got to do is work on some of these skills and you could be back out there. But a lot of guys, once they've gotten that beat up, they just rather work for someone else and they love doing the work out in the field. So, anyway, I say all that to say there's more than enough good workers. You just have to be willing to pay for it. That's really the issue. Most guys don't charge enough. So then they can't pay enough to bring on the talented guys. So the only people that they can hire are the jokers that give them all the headaches. And that's why they're frustrated and they complain there's no good workers. No, there's plenty of good workers. You're just not charging enough, or you can't figure out how to operate your business profitably enough to pay for the good workers. So we talked about that for a few days. And then the last few days here, we were talking about marketing and advertising. So if you follow along, at the end of the cycle here, you realize you don't have to guess as much as you think in this business. There really is a playbook, legit strategy that you can put into place, and then you can build with purpose. And you can really attract those good clients once you understand who your ideal client is, the client avatar. You learn how to talk to them properly in your advertising, right? You learn how to weed the lead over the phone, not waste time with the wrong type of clients. And then when you're out communicating, you learn how to connect with the homeowner and build their vision and eliminate their fears. Like, then all of a sudden this business starts rolling and it becomes fun. So in my mind, this whole 100 days was so that you could really learn about the biggest thing you have to remodel is your mind and your setup in your business. That's it. You just have to make a shift in how you're probably going about your business, and then it can take off in the direction that you want it to. So, and part of the other package that I present to is I have a group, the Remodel Rebels, and that's for guys that want to be around other people that do good work and want to get around positive people winning. So I'm a big believer in that. And let's see, yeah. So what other questions do we have? Flat Flats Fish, where are you from, by the way? I'm seeing now that you're serious. At first, I wasn't sure, so please forgive me. Sometimes, people will punk you on TikTok. You never know what you're going to get. And for those of you that are watching on the YouTube, for some reason, I cannot see comments if you're putting them on YouTube. I keep getting an error message that says something went wrong on YouTube. So I appreciate you being there, but I do apologize. I can't see comments coming through on YouTube. I can only see them coming through on TikTok for some reason. And I don't know why that is. So anyhow, but yeah, Daniel, welcome back. Nice to have you again. You got some real nice, thank you for sending some of those photos. I mean, that's some amazing work, that vanity, and that, the top, I'm assuming you fabricated that stone top. That was gorgeous. So excellent work. Thanks for shooting some of those photos over. What else? Let's see. What else do we have? Yeah. So the last thing I'll put out is, if you've paid attention to these last 100 days and you've been intrigued, you've sat there and go, damn, like, okay, I should start implementing this stuff. Then just know that, like, there is a program out there where you can get more of the same and really make a difference. So, like I said, when I got started, I found a gentleman in California, And at first, he wouldn't let me in. He said I was too new because that was only my first year in business. But I could tell that many of the companies that I wanted to compete against, they were involved in coaching groups, strategy groups, whatever, masterminds, whatever you want to call it. They were getting help from someone, and that's what was letting them grow. And I had big competition. Like when I first started, two of my biggest competitors were doing 15 to $25 million a year. One had been in business for over 50 years. It was a multi-generational company. So I'm going out competing against them, and I'm a brand new guy, 1 year in business. My license number was like number 12,000 in the state. And I'm competing against the guy who has the 50th license the state ever issued. And he could all day long just tell his homeowners, you don't want to deal with this guy. He just got his license this year. You know what I mean? Like, and it was a very valid point. And I had that first couple years, I had to learn a lot of strategy up here to how to cast doubt against my competitors that were bigger than me, better. They flat out had a better system than me. They had better carpenters than me. Everything they did was better than what I was doing. But yet I was there to compete and win. So I had to come up with a strategy, and I had to start finding, like, I call it chinks in their armor. I had to say, yeah, but I would tell my homeowners, look, they're a big company, they got a lot of fluff in there. I can see why they have to charge this or that, or it's going to take them forever to figure this out. If there's an issue, he's got to run it up the chain of command. He's got to talk to 17 different people. You never deal with the homeowner direct or the owner of the company with them. And so in my first few years, I positioned myself that way as the owner that was available and would meet with the homeowners and talk with them. Right. But then obviously, as I grew, I couldn't do that. So I had to shift my sales strategy again. But at that point, two of my biggest competitors had gone out of business. So I had their team now working for me. So, the marketplace shifted all of a sudden. So where I bring all this up to say to any of you, like, if you want a bigger piece of the pie in your neighborhood, you can have it. You just have to come up with a strategy, and it's going to shift over time. The way you sell yourself today is going to change as your company evolves and grows, and as the landscape changes as well. So, but what kind of questions do we have? Yeah, you're welcome, Daniel. Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, uh, I can share if you guys want to hear different stories. I mean, when I started, it was very challenging. Um, I'm in a very competitive marketplace. This part of the country, there's a lot of really good contractors, and it's intimidating, right? When you're trying to, like, these companies were doing $30 million a year. I mean, huge crews. They had everything, you know, project managers, sales rep, customer service rep, selections coordinators, designers, assistants. I mean, they had an accounting team. I mean, there was a president of the company, a vice president, a secretary. You know what I'm saying? It was a very, it was a lot to go up against when you're first starting out. But you can compete against these teams. So this is a good story. Listen to this. The guy that was the biggest, the company name was Welsh. I took a lot of their strategies and used them for myself. So they loved telling everyone how they were the 50th contractor in the state, and it was a multi-generational. So that, like, the grandfather got the license, he passed it down to his son, who passed it down. And that's how they were able to keep that license number. And they prided themselves on that. Like I said, my license number was like 12,544, something like that. Okay. But over the years, they had lost their way. Okay. And one of the kids that was running the company, he didn't care. He didn't want to he grew up making money. He had money handed to him. So he wanted to sell the company. Now, a couple things that were interesting. They advertised their website was Welsh 50. and their phone number was 1950. Um, and so I made my company Shoreline 49. I had my phone number 1949, right? I tried to emulate just like them. I tried to be just like they were, but a little bit different, right? Um, so that, and because homeowners that I was targeting, just like them, their birthdays were in that time. See, at that time, I'm trying to attract people in their 50s, right? So this is in the 2000s. So I wanted homeowners that were born in the late 40s, early 50s. Um, and see, they can remember that phone number because that was the year that they were born or their brother or sister was born. So there's like a lot of little tricks that you can play to help your company be more memorable. Anyway, so here's what happens. Welsh ends up bringing on a business partner. And the guy he brought on knew nothing about construction. And it just became a nightmare. The guy put in all these goofy policies. He started hiring some of his friends to come in and run key positions. And what ended up happening was a lot of the top guys started leaving and going, and some of them started their own business. Many of them just went to work for somebody else because the guy at the top didn't know what he was doing. He had money, he bought the company, and yeah, he ran everyone off. And then this, like, and you see this, believe it or not, a lot of homeowners can't even, a lot of people in general can't fathom this. Just because a company was successful at one time or makes a lot of money, there can be some people at the top that just do not know what they're doing and have no business being there, could never have started that themselves. But now they're running this and they're making a mockery of it, like they're destroying it. So what ended up happening was that company signed some big projects and they were just fumbling them like horrible, making huge mistakes out in the field. And they got themselves into several lawsuits. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it happens. You get a lot of guys like to think that they can run the show and they want to come in and show everyone how smart and big and tough they are. And sometimes the best thing you can ever do if you come in someplace is not change a thing. Just let it run the way it's running because it was working. But this guy, he came in, he made anyway, it was, so the company ended up having to file for bankruptcy, went out of business. It was such a big deal that the state, the board that I get my license from, they had to put out a press release and it had to go into the local news. So many homeowners had to understand that this company just went out of business. I mean, they were a huge company in my area. And so many homeowners were getting screwed because they went out of business and the people never got their deposits back. So many jobs were left half finished. And we're talking a lot of big projects. So the second company that I was competing against was a franchise. If you ever heard of Fred Case and Linda Case, they're out of the Bethesda area. They had a company and it was called Case Handyman and Case Design Build. So a guy in my area bought and put a franchise about 20 minutes north of me, and he was doing really well. He had a lot of support from the franchise. He had a top team. He had a good salespeople. He had an excellent in-house design team. He ran a lead carpenter system, which is what I ran as well. He had awesome lead carpenters. He had awesome helpers. But again, he didn't understand, in my opinion, he didn't understand how to run a business. And he was having fun in being in contracting and in construction. And somewhere along the lines, he started building a house. And apparently he was taking a lot of the company resources and instead of paying for it was trying to expense it to his business. Like, I guess he would send his crews to his project and then he would have them work there for like a month, but wasn't paying himself. And I think he he under I guess he didn't really quite understand how much profit you need to make on other jobs if you want to try to send crews out for free to work on your house. I think he was a profitable business apparently until he decided to buy this big house or build this huge mansion, and I guess his greed or ego, I don't something got in the way. Same thing, he ended up fumbling a bunch of projects in our area. Several homeowners got screwed. There were a bunch of lawsuits. His cash flow went out, and then he went out of business. And he's the guy that I ended up hiring probably the most employees from because he had some awesome team. He just had some amazing people that worked for him. So, but just like that, I went from like struggling and struggling to all of a sudden going, damn, this business is amazing. So it can happen to anybody. You just never know what's going to happen to your competitor, you know? Or you don't, at the same time, you also don't know who the next competitor is going to be that's coming up. So, mm, what else? Yeah. How big was the company that when you were referencing there that you said kind of was falling apart when the new owner came in? What do you know about how many million? Well, I'm assuming they were multi-million dollar a year company. Four service trucks. Okay. So probably a couple million a year. Yeah. Yeah, and what the new a new owner came in and just didn't understand how to manage it. Sales couch coach. What happened? They hired somebody to come in and try to teach them sales, but didn't understand the industry, and they messed everything up. Is that what I'm hearing? That sounds about right. Yeah, in-home sales are a lot different than like other. It's funny. Oh, greedy. Yeah. Okay. Before I got into running my own construction, I got to work for some big corporations and got some amazing sales training. Um, and some of this stuff, was specific to how to sell into certain government agencies or big corporations, approaches that would never work with homeowners. And then some of the stuff was really good. It also applies to homeowners. So I think sales training gets interesting. It has to be, geared towards the consumer or the customer that you deal with for sure. So Jay Allen and Daniel, I mean, you guys have both been on several nights. What is there anything specific? It's complicated. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's so I worked for Caterpillar for a few years, and I mean the business I worked for, the owner, he was doing over 400 million a year out of his uh bunch of stores that he owned throughout the area, right? And yet he had hired some guys that ran different levels, different shops, and they were just it was horrible, right? Like you'd have a division lose a bunch of money one year and you'd be like, "What? How does this happen?" Sometimes there's just a disconnect for sure. You know, you some people have some crazy ideas that's what I've learned over the years. Man, that's awesome, Jan. So now, Jan, let me ask you though. Somehow you've gotten. Did your parents were they good communicators? Like somewhere along the line, somebody showed you how to be a good communicator. I mean, that's awesome. I wasn't the best communicator without sales training, personally. Yeah, I mean, so I've learned over the years, like some people are everybody's born with different gifts, obviously, or you just for one way or another, you were around someone. Maybe your parents were good communicators, right? They had learned good communicating skills from somebody else, and I don't know. Um, I grew up. I would say I didn't understand really good. I didn't understand. I wasn't an effective listener. I think that was what I would best describe it as. I could be polite, but I didn't understand how to really ask enough questions. I would take people at their face value. If somebody said something, I was like, "Oh, that's what you mean." I was a literal listener. And I've learned over the years that not everyone is a literal speaker. Some people will be saying something and that is not what they mean at all. And you have to ask a bunch of qualifying questions to actually understand what they're trying, because what they're saying and what I'm hearing are two different things. But yeah. Yes, asking a lot of questions provides a yeah, it's the best. Curiosity is like the I talk about trading in curiosity as your currency, right? Like ask as many questions as you can to, because we still sometimes think we hear something, but it might not be. We might have heard what they said, but we didn't hear what they mean. So that's probably the biggest lesson that I've learned was, and I didn't understand how emotional a lot of people are. Like you see it every day. And what's interesting is a lot of people make irrational decisions. To them, they justify it later. And the reason they make the irrational decision is because they don't buy from logic, they buy from emotion. And that was a lesson that took me many years to really start to understand and learn. Because in my mind, I was more of, I would try to, I thought I was a more of a logic buyer. I've been able to separate emotion a little easier than some people. And sometimes that's bad. Sometimes I need to like check in here a little bit more. But I've recognized that many of the homeowners that I would deal with, they were all here. It was all emotion, almost nothing from up here, from the logic. You'll be like, they'll make the craziest decisions. It makes no sense. But to them, it's what they felt. So that's why they did it. And yes, Jay, that's probably the most prophetic way to put it. The customer has all the answers. You just have to ask the questions. 100%. They will explain to you everything that you need to know if you just ask them. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. So again, I do apologize for those of you on YouTube. I do not know why I can't see the comments. So, or if there are, but it just keeps saying it has a monkey holding a hammer and it says something went wrong in the section where I would be able to see a chat usually. So, I appreciate you being here. Sorry I can't. If you're trying to, even with diagnosis, they know what's going on. They just don't know what to do. Yeah, Jan, that's a good point. With even with the diagnosis, they know what's going on. They just don't know what to do. Yeah. Yeah, and by you see, you have good curiosity and listening skills, so it sounds like you're able to ask enough questions to get clarity so that you can flush out and help them figure out, a good solution. Well, yeah, no pun intended on that one. Flush out. Exactly. Mhm. Yeah, good catch. Mm. So, alright, but yeah. So, I th today, Jay, on today's day, 100, right? And I'm not sure yet what's gonna happen the next few days. I think I'm gonna try some different times. I'm gonna try doing some things where I'll announce. Thank you. There's a feature within TikTok where I can show you guys I can maybe give you a heads up, like a schedule. I'm gonna experiment with that a little bit. Um, so I think I'm gonna bounce around a little bit, try a couple different things. I think there's gonna be a night or two that I probably take off. I know I'm going out to dinner on Friday with my girlfriend to celebrate doing. So I've done 154 days now. I've gone live every single day, so I'm taking Friday night off. Yeah, and we're going out to dinner. There's a really nice seafood place in our area, Jimmy's. A lot of famous. We go there a couple times a year. It's where a lot of celebrities like to go eat. It's not terribly expensive, believe it or not. But the food is just amazing. So we're gonna go down. We just made reservations, so we'll do that Friday night. Um, yeah, kind of like a little celebratory event, and then figure out what the next uh, challenge or thing will be. I might try to do something around estimating to help people with if people have any questions about how to estimate jobs. I could do a live where you could come on, and if you have questions about what to charge. I see that a lot of people, that's a big hurdle in the industry. And, a lot of times it's up here because we're afraid if we charge too much, the homeowner will say no. So I might try that a couple nights here and there or a couple afternoons. I don't know. Is there anything that you haven't seen that you're like, damn, I wish he would have tried that? Or, is there any, I don't know, any ideas you have, anything that you think? Yeah. I think a lot of us do that. I know on my Excel, I default to like a standard Google Doc, like a sheet, and I like to add up the materials in one column. I like to factor in how many hours something is going to take, and then I like to factor in how many days. Thank you, Jayon. I like to factor in how many days something is going to take. And then I like to put over on the side what I think that component, if it was to be subbed out, like if the homeowner was like, let's say I'm doing a remodel, I'm building an addition, I'm doing the siding, the roofing, the windows, the doors. I'll look at that sometimes and go, what would that cost them if they tried to just get that part done? How much would a siding company charge? So sometimes I'll make a fourth column where I just put numbers like that in, but then I'll run these all the way down and I'll look at 3 or 4 totals. I think that's what you do as well. And then I have a fifth column where I put how much I carry one of the numbers over, right? And I go, okay, this part of the project we're charging this much. This part of the project we're charging that much. And that's how I end up coming up with my prices. So, yeah. Plus, I think you're probably experiencing this now. I feel like you start to learn a little bit about what the market can bear, and it's a good and a bad thing, right? I remember when my eyes got open to I was way undercharging for windows, for instance, and I was like, "You mean I can charge 2 and 3 times how much I was charging for windows?" That was, like, one of the best days ever when I realized that. So sometimes, the numbers, you just have to recognize what does homeowners are paying a lot more sometimes for certain services. Yeah, a few variables for sure. Like in our area, if you replace a front entry door, that you can charge more for that, than any other replacement door. I'm finding because homeowners are willing to they just see more value in a front entry door, even though it'll take me the same amount of time to put the front door on as the back door. We can sell a front door for more money over and over again as opposed to the back door, let's say. Yep. Daniel, let me know the area you're in. Is it seasonal? Like, are we coming into a real busy time of the year for you guys down there? Hmm. Jayon, what job is this? All right. Okay, thanks, Dan. Yeah, estimation of a 215. So, Jayon, were you just bidding what was it? All new? Were you going to run new supply locations and drain, and then do come in and do all the trim work, install the faucet, the drain, the sink, connect the dishwasher, and run the water line for the fridge, and I guess any gas if they needed it for the stove? Is that what you're referring to? Thank you, Daniel. All right, so you have an estimation for 215 for a garage door for 270, and it's slow right now. All right. And Daniel, do you get a lot of garage door work down there? Move a few new fixtures, and yes, stove as well. Yeah. Has the So Jayon, have you gotten the phone call where they've called you back as for relief yet, or is it still too early, you think? Some homeowners get too embarrassed too. Some I I I sometimes explain to the homeowner, I was like, it sounds like you're gonna have to, you know, yeah, they do get embarrassed. It's I actually have a lady right now that I'm gonna be calling tomorrow about a similar situation. I had talked to her a month ago about redoing her daughter's room. Yeah, her okay. Danny Lowe, yes, you should run ads to get more clients, 100%. Um, yeah, so Jan, I'm gonna have a convers. So Daniel, I think it comes down how much time is it gonna take you? You have to add up how many hours it's gonna take you to paint and do your setup, your cleanup, and then if you're happy with how much you're getting paid per hour, then I would move forward with the price. And somehow I would try to have a conversation with the homeowner where you explain to them how you do really good, you're professional, you take your time. It's better to have it done right the first time, things like that. Yep, hours and material and add-on. Yeah, Jan. Yeah, so this had a lady call me a little while ago. So I have a couple really good clients that refer a lot of work, and this lady's highly educated, which is often a problem. She has her master's, or I think she's even a doctor. And usually doctors, when you talk to them over the phone, everything sounds perfect. They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna hire you." And then they go home and they talk to their spouse, and that's when they start making all their own mistakes, right? They start thinking logically, and then they think like, "Oh, we're smart, we're educated, so we're gonna shop this down." And then they don't realize that all estimates and all contractors and all bids and proposals, not everything's the same, right? Yeah. So, but I want to have a conversation with her, um, and I want to go over a couple things about that. I was just going to ask her. I said, when we talked, did everything that I said, did you feel comfort? Like, did you feel like you had found the right contractor? Was it only when you went back and talked to your spouse? And then is that when you started getting concerned, thinking that you could do better on the price? And then I want to try to bring it back around to let them know that most likely they're getting ready to make a big mistake. They have a real old, they live in a big old house. And these old homes, they require some special work. You just can't go in and just paint it. There's a lot of effervescence that starts happening. You have to wipe the surfaces down. They've got lead paint. Anyway, but it'll be interesting. So you're not, Jan, you don't think you're going to swing by the lady's house one day? You don't think you'll, what about having your other half call and check in? Say, we're just following up. How'd that job go? Did you get everything taken care of? She might be able to extend the olive branch for you. Yeah, but at the end of the day, a lot of homeowners it's kind of like learning how to ride a bike when you're a parent teaching a kid. Sometimes you can explain to your child or another, like, "Hey, let's do this and do that." And then they're going to be very headstrong and they're going to tell you how they're going to do it their way. And sometimes you just have to let them go do it their own way, and they have to fall and take some bumps and bruises, and then they come back and then they're willing to. Homeowners are the same way. A lot of homeowners, especially when they're newer at remodeling, if they haven't done a lot of it, I find they often have to go find and get themselves into a disaster. And then they're much more willing to come back and then want to deal with somebody that has a different process and charges a little bit more money. But you can't save them all the first time. That's for sure. Yeah. But yeah, Daniel, and think about things like speed and how can you paint that garage door more quickly too when you're talking about that, like can you use a wider roller? Like, can you use an 18-inch roller? Can you spray it? I don't know. There's a lot of factors that you have to think about. And what kind of prep work? In painting, 90% of the work is preparing the surface, making sure that you wipe it down, with a like maybe like a TSP type product, sand it a little bit, get the grime off. So Jay, you tried to be as patient as you could. So she was really trying to get you to drop the price, huh? Yeah. It's funny. Some people just get it in their head. They're like, "Ma'am, you don't," it's like interesting. Was she educated, like the type that thinks that they're outsmarting everybody? Do you know what I mean? It's pretty interesting. I found it to be very fascinating. The other bid wasn't even clear. Yeah, exactly. That makes sense now. Yeah. Okay. Awesome, Daniel. Well, good. Just if you've landed the job, I would go do it, get paid, and be very thankful, and just add that into your experience. It's one more way to get you. Yeah. Yeah. People that shop price, they're never happy. They focus on the wrong thing. Some people just want to win. You ever hear that thing? You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Some people just get so hung up on the wrong thing that they have to be right. Like this is the hill that they're going to die on, and you can't help them. You know, somewhere in their mind they made up that I've got me being a good consumer of remodeling services or buying plumbing services is to find the cheapest because they're confused. Yeah, smart, Daniel. Yeah, if you've got salt air, that's real smart. Yeah. So are you going to spray it? Yeah, I hear that, Jay Allen. Like when you're trying to build up like your book of business, like sometimes the jobs we want the most are probably the ones that we should run from the fastest. Hey, Rubio's. So, Rubio's, if you received a 1 star, that's okay. There's a way to address it that's very professional. Have you have you tried to reach out to the homeowner? Why can you explain to me what why did they give any explanation why they're giving you 1 star? Did you actually even do the work for them? I mean, I'm going to tell you this. I've had more homeowners complain because I didn't want to do the job. Like, I've turned homeowners down. I've come out, met with them, talked to them over the phone, and after listening to them, I was like, "Man, Miss so and so, after hearing everything, I don't think we're going to be the right contractor for you." And I would refuse to even come out and estimate, look at the job, or I've even had this happen. I've gone out and I thought I was coming out to try to sell the job or give it, and after I listened to the homeowner talk for like 10, 15 minutes, I just said, "Ma'am, I really appreciate you showing me all this. This is just not the kind of work that we're going to be able to help you with." And I've referred them on other people. Those are the people that have written me the worst reviews, the ones that I never even did the work for them, right? Because and it's so, Rubio's, if you can, without emotion, try to explain the situation, just put the facts like you're talking to a lawyer. So, Ruby, you know what? If it were me, and I would on my review where she wrote the bad review for you, I would comment something along the lines of mention her name and say our goal at our company is to provide excellent service and excellent customer satisfaction, and maybe explain how you have, you know, done everything that you could to address the issue, and that, you know, she complained of our process. Okay. So you feel like you let a bad customer slip in, you know, unfortunately you kind of knew for whatever reason you missed it and you ended up working for her. And now it's become a nightmare and she wrote a bad review. Has she said anything in her review to you, Rubio's? Or did she just put 1 star? And the main issue is just some help me understand. The main issue is just the process. She didn't like the way you so she's not upset about the work that you did, but she's upset about the way that you did the work. Like, help me understand just a little bit more. And then I'll give you a response. I promise. And this, I would not worry about this 1 star review. This is a blessing, actually. You're going to end up winning more customers based off of the way you handle this 1 star review, in my opinion. Because there's a lot of homeowners that recognize that there's a lot of angry people in the world, and some people you can't make happy no matter what. And by you a addressing it in a very professional manner, homeowners will be fine. I would not sweat this at all. Yeah, I mean, it affects your average a little bit, but that's okay. Money? Yeah, money can be. So you were hired to what, paint like a room, and now she's complaining that yeah, so she's just gone off the deep edge. Do you guys take before and after pictures? Do you have photos where you can show that like this whatever she's talking about was clearly there before you even went there? Okay. And I'm assuming that your painting turned out fine. Was she trying to get you to give her a discount? Do you think that's why she was complaining? Like some people do that. You know, like the people that go to a restaurant and they bring hair or they bring a dead bug and then they put it in the food. They eat half of the food and then they don't want to pay for the rest. So they try to lie and tell the restaurant like, "Oh, you served me something with a dead bug in it or it had hair in it," to try to get a free meal. Do you think that's what she's trying to do? Yeah, right. See, Jay Allen, you always look for the silver lining. Yeah, I don't think she could prove. It would be hard for her to prove all that for sure. Hopefully, you have some pictures of your dooring process that show, like, you had a tarp down, or you had I don't know. Let's see. But Rubio's, do you feel like she's just trying to beat you up over the price? Is that what, at the end of the day, is that what you think got her the most pissed off? She just didn't want to pay for it once you were finished? Okay. Yes. Okay. So she wanted the 10%. Yeah, this is perfect. All right, you'll address this in your response. Just bear with me for a minute. This is good. This is good. All right, because now you're getting to the root cause. This is always where we try to go. We want to know exactly what the homeowner's up to. So, so I'm assuming you said no to the 10% discount, which good for you, maybe. I don't know. All right. And Rubio's, just out of curiosity, was this like a $2,500 job, a $7,000 job? How much money would we been talking if we would have given it to her? Sure. Yes, because she got angry. She's bitter. She's petty. She brings so we're talking 350 bucks would have made this problem go away. I got you. And did she put all this in her review? Did she tell you, like, you gouged my floors, you guys were sloppy? Is that in the review as well? Okay. Give me 1 second. I'll tell you what I think. So this is good. This is all good stuff. Give me 1 second. And Rubio's, how long have you been doing this work? Oh, you have 115 reviews. I wouldn't worry about the 4.9. Some people believe it or not, having all 5-star reviews can sometimes be more leery. People can think like they're not true when they're all 5-star. That's fine. All right. Congrats. Look at that. Hey, Jayon, we got another November anniversary for business. Rubio's, congratulations on 8 years. That's awesome. Yeah, so you're a reputable company. You know what you're doing. This is clearly a money grab from the homeowner. So my thought for you is to approach it maybe like this. I would put something in there where you thank first, you thank the homeowner. We appreciate you taking the time to leave us a review. We value and take all feedback serious. We enjoyed getting to know you as we painted your house. We had a very enjoyable time, and we were very, you were complimentary towards me and my crew while we were working. So that was a fun time for all of us. I would put something in there like that, because it helps everyone acknowledge that everything was fine until the very end. Um, as you know, are a meticulous company and we pride ourselves on being professional. That's, in fact, one of the reasons why you hired us. We do put down protection. We have very good processes. Our guys are experienced. In fact, as you also are aware, we've been in business for 8 years. We have over 100 5-star reviews. All of this that she knew going into it, and we always put down protection on all homeowner floors, like something along those lines. What's interesting is upon completion of this project, you contacted us and explicitly stated that if we would provide you with a 10% discount, you would not have any complaints. We stand behind the quality of our work, right? We honored our end of the agreement. We have provided you with a beautifully painted room. I would put the photos in the review if the service will let you. And being propositioned to provide a discount in order so that we don't get a negative review for something that we did not cause compromises our integrity. And we value the service that we provide to our clients. I would call it 100% out. I would just lay it right there in the review, your response. And then you could add, if you want, you could add something like, it's challenging to be put into a position where we have to try to honor requests for uncompensated discounts, right? Our commitment to satisfaction to the client remains high. We'd be happy to come back out and talk to you again. I don't know, something like that. Does that help? Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, I would so Jay Allen, I appreciate where you're coming from, and Rubio's, you get to decide. I may not want to give her the discount. I might be okay with the 1-star review. At some point you just can't please everybody. And I think you can write a good review. You can have a good response, and I think the average homeowner is going to be okay. But at the same time, what Jay Allen's proposing, you could offer her some money to see if she'll take it down. So, you definitely have more than one option. However you choose to go, it's your business. You get to decide. I think some homeowners do this on purpose because that's all they're looking for is the money. So there's part of me that would say you call it out. And who knows? Once the homeowner reads your response where you're calling them out for what they're doing and how it's basically extortion, maybe she'll end up taking it down. Yeah. So, but I wouldn't, at the end of the day, man, I wouldn't lose much sleep over it just from where I'm at. I would not. You just can't make everybody happy. And every person that is reasonable does not expect you to have a perfect review 100% of all your reviews. Nope. So so good luck. You'll have to let us know, Rubio. Hopefully you're going to follow the page and you'll come back. I'd really appreciate if you let me know. Either if you follow my account, you should be able to direct message me. I message me back. Let me know what you end up doing, like in the next few days. I would deal with it tomorrow if you can. Just get it off your plate, man, and move on. If you want to give her the money, give her the money. If you want to write the review, write the review. Yeah. So without a bunch of documentation, it's hard to win at the end. Pictures, pictures, pictures. Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, John. And I can only speak for the way I'm hearing the scenario. If you think that you guys, if the end of the day, I'm assuming Rubio's, if you've been in painting business for 8 years, um, you have to be painting like 1 to 2 projects a week. So that's probably like 75 a year times. You've done like over 600 jobs. I think at this point you would know the likelihood of whether your guys and you did or did not damage the floor. And if you think that that it could have happened, then I think you handle it one way. But at the same time, when you've had, 8 years of experience and that many jobs, I'm assuming you probably know whether that's something that you guys did or didn't do. And if you are fairly confident that there's just that, like, that is not something that we did, then I'd be willing to, stand up for it. That's my 2 cents. So good luck. But yeah, please let us know what you end up doing and how it breaks down at the end of the day. Yeah. Don't for me personally, I wouldn't let them bully me. I would perfect. All right. Very good. Yeah. Yeah, you have to be polite in all the reviews. The average person will read that and recognize what it really probably is the homeowners trying to gouge you or extort you for money at the end. And because unfortunately there's people that just that's the way they view the world. Like they've learned that they can do it and get away with it, or at least try. For some people, it's their way of winning. They feel like everything's a game. Are you trying? So, Rubio, it depends on whether you're just trying to maintain or you want to grow. What are you trying to do with your business? Are you trying to grow or just kind of do the same, maintain when it comes to advertising? So, Where are you, Rubio? Where are you based out of? Did you put that in here already? Let me look. Well, San Diego. All right. So look, the only reason you're going to be slow is because like a homeowner or two might not want the inside painted because of the holidays. You can still paint outside in San Diego year round. Do you do exterior painting or do you just do interior? Well, it can be slow. I would tell you that. Do you want it to be slow? Let me ask you that. Like, do you like this time of year? Do you like it to slow down some, take a break, kind of catch your breath, and then get geared up? Interior, exterior, cabinets. Okay. So this has been my experience is that yes, in general, a lot of homeowners. Okay. So yeah, if you want to, in my opinion, I would start advertising, but maybe pick what's the most profitable type of work that you do. Okay, like do you want to do the kitchen cabinet painting, resurfacing, or whatever it is, like whole house painting? I don't know. Whatever job is the best, I would put some money into advertising that right now. I, this is what so from a remodeling perspective, companies need to spend anywhere from 3 to more than 10% of their revenue, right? So whatever your yearly revenue is. Okay. And how are your results? Are you tracking your leads? Do you keep a spreadsheet and write down where all the leads come from? Okay. Well, all right. So you must be doing pretty good volume. I mean, you don't have to tell me, but I'm assuming you're probably doing. I mean, you've got to be over 700,000, maybe close to 700 to a million a year, give or take, maybe even more. No. Um. Anyway, so what does it end up? What? Okay, so your average job. So I guess you're doing a lot of interior painting, $5,600. Okay, that's good. So if you're gonna spend 700 a week, you're landing two jobs. It's costing you like $350 per lead. And what's keeping you from landing that third job out of the six? Is it too competitive right now? Okay, so you are getting 3 to 4 jobs. So your lead cost is a little bit lower than I'm thinking. So if you're spending so maybe it's closer to like $200 per lead, basically. I mean, $200 to get a $5,600 job, to me, that's not too bad at the end of the day. Yeah, 235. Is there any have you looked into any way of trying to the jobs that you do land, is there any additional services that you could add on to those clients where you could maybe pick up and raise that ticket by a few $100, like maybe an extra 500 bucks? And reason I bring this up is like if you could offer to do one other thing for the homeowner, because I'm assuming what you find is those couple of those leads, you're going to probably land like a couple jobs. And are you finding, is there anything that you could kind of upsell, add in to get like maybe another $300 to $500 out of the two or three or the 3 to 4 jobs you're landing? That can really help offset that marketing cost as well. Okay. Like offer to paint a garage door or the back door of the house. I don't know. Um, Something that your crew is talented at, that the homeowner wasn't initially even asking you for, but because they're going to have you do all of this other work. 30 minutes into San Diego. Okay. So I'm assuming where you're at's pretty competitive. Yeah. So if it's me, if I'm in your market, I'm not getting into the price with the homeowner. I'm talking all about experience. I'm sharing with them how, we're a trustworthy team. We've been in business 8 years. You don't have to worry about our guys stealing. Hopefully you're bonded. Um, you can talk about how your guys are stand-up guys. They've been working for you for a while. The homeowner can feel safe, doesn't have to worry about bringing in riffraff, whatever. You got to play your strengths against the other team's weaknesses. So because at the end of the and how you guys are like you just call us one time, we take care of all the painting. We come in, we're gonna stay here 4 or 5 days straight. We're not, we don't have drug and alcohol problems where you pay us a draw and then you don't see us for a week because we're out getting high, and then we come back a week or two later. So now, this painting project's gonna take a month. I mean, hopefully you have, like lighthearted joking type conversations with the homeowners where you discuss some of those things so that the focus gets away from the price and the homeowner wants to buy the peace of mind, of dealing with a professional like yourself. But anyway, yeah, so hopefully you're doing that. And if you could, in my opinion, if you could just see about upselling that job a couple $100, the couple that you land. And I think that would make a big difference for you. And perfect. Okay, yeah. Yeah, always, just always remind the homeowner because you have to make it real for them, for sure. So perfect. Yeah. So anyway, back to your original question. Some companies can get away in your market. I think your advertising costs are going to be a little bit higher because it's a little more competitive. Um, so 5 to 10%, I would think that's my minimum. So, and then you might want to, if you're not pulling in the right type of client, maybe having somebody look over your ad copy. Let's see what your hook is, what's your story on the ad, what's your offer. Um, and then, you know, are you are you familiar with the whole client avatar, the ideal client? Have you ever done work like that with your advertising where you write out all the demographics and what the ideal client looks like? Okay, so that's a real good exercise for somebody like you. At this point, here's where I'm going with this. You've been in business 8 years. You know what an awesome client looks like. You can spot them. When you pull up to the house, you start talking to them within 5 minutes. you probably know this is the best type of client, right? And you also can figure out the worst type of client. So the concept of the ideal client avatar is, on paper, you write down all the things that make a client perfect. What they look like, how old they are, the type of neighborhood they typically live in, the type of house, the way they keep their house, the services that they're going to ask you to perform, the type of income level that they tend to have so that they can afford your service. And that helps you come up with your ideal customer. Then do you have a pixel? Do you do ad sets and ad campaigns within Meta? Okay. So if you're marketing, you and your marketing agent could work together. Um, you can go back. I have a video on it in my workshop section. But anyway, you can just, do you use AI? You can search, you can ask AI, tell it you're a painting contractor, you're in San Diego, explain to it what the ideal client looks like to you for your painting business. And okay, yeah. So you could put all this into Chat GPT. You can ask it to help you come up with your ideal client avatar. And then you can ask it for some ad suggestions, hook, story, offer, and you can talk with your marketing person. Where I'm going with this is, so sometimes you might not have to spend any more or any less money. It might just be a matter of tweaking your ads a little bit so that you make sure you're landing better leads, better clients. So if your marketing person already has a pixel and is working on your campaign and your ad sets, they can track the results and you can see how different ads are performing. So what I'm saying is, sometimes it's not about spending more money. It may, but it may not. Okay. Yeah. So, but you can also try running an ad where you hold on one second. With the holidays, you can try running an ad where you can offer someone to give the gift of painting. And basically they could purchase from you a gift card. So a family member could pay for you to paint a family member's house. And you could sell, so you could, that could be a campaign that you try running this time of year. Follow me on this. So yes, some of the homeowners might not want their house painted right now, but let's say that I know that my kids have recently purchased a house, and I know that, come a couple months from now, maybe in February, March, whatever, they want to get the house painted, and I want to give them a Christmas present. Well, maybe I give them a gift of a couple $1,000, but I bought painting services for your company to be performed at my daughter's house. And you do that in the form of, you create a unique like gift card in your ad. Give the gift of painting to a loved one this holiday season. And you could start trying to market that a little bit. You could try first sending, if you've been in business for 8 years, you have a CRM, you could do this for free just by emailing that ad out to your existing customers, and you could test that and see how, if you get any response before you start paying for it. Okay. Um, if you do any networking, this can be a really good way to go into some networking groups. Okay. Yeah. Rubio's, you got all the stuff, man. Yeah. All right. So that would be one of my suggestions for you to look. Sometimes you got to think outside the box. You could dress up, you could make Santa look like a painter, right? And he's painting like the North Pole or whatever. And the ad says, this year, give the gift of painting to a loved one, right? And, sell it in like $500 increments. I don't know, put a, if you, do you use lead? Do you do funnels? Do you have lead magnets? Do you do anything digitally? I mean, you could I would try pre-packaging in one. I'd put it at 5,000. I'd put another one at 2,500 and maybe another one at like 1,500 or 500. I don't know. Whatever you think. I would try 3 options where it's prepaid to test the market and see what works. Yeah. Thanks, Rubio. Good luck to you. And you're going to crush it. You're already doing good. Jay Allen, you might want to come up with a gift card for your customers too. You could try sending out to all your clients that they could give the gift of plumbing services, a plumbing repair, whatever. You could try something like $500, $250. I don't know. You never know. Thanks, Jay. Hmm. Well, we're just celebrating day 100, so every dog has his day, maybe. Uh, it's fun. I like watching people win. Yeah. Now, believe me, brother, there were some nights where I was exhausted, and I'm sure I was not bringing the best version. I was just wanting to get some nights I was just wanting to get through the live. I needed to do runs on all the content too, to make sure it makes sense for future work as well. Because I talk about it one-to-one a lot, but I needed to kind of get it out in front of more people at times. So that happens. But yeah. So anyway, I'd like. All right. Well, I think we're gonna. It's getting late. I think we'll wrap it up tonight. Um, so I appreciate you guys, Daniel and Jayon. You're just like, I really appreciate you guys. It's been awesome, right? So we will. Jayon, what you and I are going to talk tomorrow about your strategy for your business. But as far as the lives go, they're just going to look a little different. I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. So it'll be. And we'll come up with a new game plan for the rest of the year. And all right. Any questions? Any comments? So anyway, Daniel, make sure you land that job, get paid. That's awesome. Take pictures of that before and after and try to get a picture of you or a video of you doing the work that you can use down the road to show homeowners. Maybe that could be a niche for you down the road. You could land a lot of those garage doors with your special paint, So awesome. All right. Thanks. Appreciate you guys. Have an awesome night. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Yep. Thank you, Jan. All right.